Welcome back to Revisiting Religion. Now today I'm walking through this trail all the way through this bushland, the wildlife, and then entering our ocean destination. And as I walk, I want to reflect on something that affects every single one of us. And that is the path that we choose. See, every single one of us is choosing a path. Some paths are short, some are long, some may seem attractive at first, but then don't lead anywhere. So the question is, where is your path leading? See, from the Muslim perspective, our path is to be closer to Allah. We want to worship God, get closer to God, and ultimately attain paradise. So from the Islamic perspective, there's purpose to life, there is meaning to life, and there is accountability. But others may not see it this way. Take, for example, atheism. Let's talk about atheism. What is atheism and who are atheists? Some of us may be Muslims, Christians, Jews, Hindus. Now, whether you like it or not, all of us are on a particular path. Now, some of us aren't on any specific path at all. And some of us actually lack the belief in a God or a creator. Atheists can fall under two main definitions: hard and soft atheists. Now, generally speaking, an atheist is one who lacks the belief in a God. Hard atheists make the affirmative claim that there is no God. So they make the positive claim that God does not exist. And so therefore the burden of proof is on their shoulders. Soft atheism says that I am not convinced of a God because I have not yet seen the evidence. And so I don't know whether or not God exists, but I am unconvinced. And so today we're tackling those two definitions. And we're going to look at this from an Islamic lens and respond to these arguments through the Quran and through Islamic philosophy. From an Islamic perspective, life has a purpose and we have meaning, there is accountability, and a final destination, which is to be close to Allah and attain paradise. Now, agnosticism deals with knowledge. And agnosticism and theism are not mutually exclusive. You could be an agnostic theist and agnostic atheist at the same time. So for example, if you are a theist who believes in God but are not convinced or not 100% sure that God exists, you are technically an agnostic theist. If you are an agnostic atheist, you are also not 100% convinced that there does not exist a God, but you are also unconvinced. There is also the concept of solipsism, which is the idea that this world around us, this creation, is all but an illusion, and we are all just a brain in a vat. But we'll deal with this in another episode. Now, as I sit here to take a short break, I can't help but think of some of nature's big questions. For example, why does the universe exist? What is consciousness? And why does consciousness exist? What are the laws of nature? And why do they exist? Now let's look at some of the major arguments for the existence of God. And let's look at this from an Islamic perspective. Number one, the Kalam cosmological argument.
Premise 1. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. And this is not controversial. We know that things don't just pop into existence uncaused. And so it is absurd to say that something can come from nothing. Premise 2. The universe began to exist. Now, modern cosmology confirms this. The Big Bang cosmology, the expansion of space-time, and these are things that the Quran also speaks about. Philosophy can also help us confirm this, because we know that a temporal series of past events cannot be infinite. And so premise 3, the conclusion, therefore, the universe has a cause. Now, what must the cause of the universe be? Once you establish a cause of space-time, matter, and energy, that cause must be timeless, spaceless, immaterial, powerful, and personal. And this is exactly the God described in Islam. Allah says He is the first and the last. Allah says He is the creator of all things, and that there is nothing like unto Him. That when He wills a thing, He says be, and it is. Kun fayakun. And Islam rejects any divisions or any parts or compositions within God. Qul huwallahu ahad. Say that He is Allah, the One.
From this argument, we can then make an inference that this God has to be, or this creator has to be, outside of space and time. Therefore, the question who created God does not apply to the creator, because by definition, God is outside space and time. So it wouldn't apply logically. Second argument is the fine-tuning argument. And that is, the life that we live in, the earth that we live in, seems to be heavily finely tuned. And what does that mean?
Fine-tuning argues that this is not chance, it is not randomness, but it is pointing to a designer. Here are some examples of fine-tuning. Gravitational constant. If stronger or weaker by 1 degree, stars could not form. Cosmological constant. This is a very precise known calibration within physics. Ratio of electromagnetic force to gravity. So in a nutshell, chance is impossible, physical necessity fails, and design is the only rational option. From an Islamic perspective, Allah says He created everything with precise measure, and you will not find any flaw in the creation of the Most Merciful. Look again, do you see any flaws? He raised the heaven and established the balance. This creation was not created in vain. And the sun and the moon move by precise calculation. Take the expansion rate of the universe, for example. If this were slower, the universe would collapse, and if it were faster, galaxies will never form. Let's look at the strength of the strong nuclear force. If slightly stronger, there will be no hydrogen, and if slightly weaker, we'd have no carbon. Life becomes impossible. And all of these align with the Quranic theme, that creation is deliberate, balanced, and measured. Now here are some famous quotes from some physicists, astronomers, and scientists. Paul Davies, a physicist, says that the impression of design is overwhelming. Sir Fred Hoyle, an astronomer, a super intellect, has monkeyed with physics. Martin Rees, an astronomer, just 6 numbers determine the universe. If any were different, the universe would be lifeless. Even Stephen Hawking has said that the laws of physics seem finely adjusted to make life possible. Now, these are not necessarily any religious figures. So once you accept that the universe is finely tuned and that constants are chosen, the laws are calibrated, the cosmos is ordered, and that the universe is purposeful, which worldview describes a creator who intentionally calibrates the universe with measure, balance, and precision? None other than Islam. And this is seen in Islamic theology as qadr, precise measurement, mizan, cosmic balance, taqdir, divine calibration, ayat, the signs in nature, tadabbur, rational reflection on creation.
Had many of these values been any different, life could have been impossible. So a question to our atheist friends: why does a life-permitting universe exist at all? Let's tackle the why question. Now, in addition to the fine-tuning argument, there also comes the irreducible complexity argument. And that is
very similar to the fine-tuning argument, which shows the cosmos is designed. Irreducible complexity shows that life is designed. And so together they form a 2-layer design argument. Number 1, the universe is designed for life. And number 2, life is designed within the universe. He formed you and perfected your forms. In Surah 40 verse 64. So irreducible complexity deals with the biology of life. Were they created from nothing, or were they themselves the creators? This is the Quran's version of the Kalam cosmological argument, and it forces the atheist into a trilemma. Number 1, you came from nothing. Number 2, you created yourself. Or number 3, you were created by something that's beyond you. And obviously the Quran rejects the first two. The Quran consistently asks for you to reflect, to ponder, and to think, and to look again. Do you see any flaws? This is a direct appeal to cosmic precision and order and fine-tuning. Allah says He formed you and perfected your forms, referring to human anatomy, biological systems, reproduction. Allah says, do they not use their reason? God created consciousness, free will, rationality, moral awareness. These are signs of a transcendent mind. Allah also asks, do you think we created you in vain? And that we are the ones that are dependent. You are the needy. Allah is the self-sufficient. Arguing that contingent beings require a necessary being. Allah says His creation is by precise calculation. There is mathematical order, physical laws, cosmic regularity.
Now let's talk about the moral argument. Where do atheists get their morals from? Where do atheists apply their ethics? How do atheists apply their ethics in daily life? Now for Muslims, our ethics and our morals are sourced from the Quran. This is believed to be sent down through revelation from God alone. And God is the one who implements and stipulates morality. Now for an atheist, is morality objective or is it subjective? Do we adapt to the different times of society? Or are there morals that are always right and always wrong?
If the universe is unguided, purposeless, accidental, and indifferent, then morality can become subjective, it can be relative, personal preferences, It could be a cultural opinion or evolutionary convenience. What makes rape objectively wrong? Genocide objectively wrong? Torturing? This could be socially wrong, but not necessarily objectively wrong. Atheists could say that this is something I don't like, but cannot say that it is wrong for everyone, everywhere. Now, the Quranic response is that Allah commands justice. We honored the children of Adam. Every soul will be recompensed. Nothing is created in vain. He inspired it with right and wrong. So morality is real, morality is objective, and it comes from God, and humans are accountable. Therefore, justice is guaranteed. Atheism doesn't guarantee any of these. Societies cannot produce objective morality because societies disagree. Historically, we've seen slavery, racism, sexism, genocide, torture. If society defines morality, then Nazi Germany was moral, ancient slavery was also moral, modern genocide could also be moral, but this is absurd.
Now, when presenting evidence for the existence of God to atheists or non-Muslims, from the Islamic perspective, it's quite simple. Allah tells us in the Quran
that without God, humans become their own gods. Have you seen the one who takes his desire as his God? We have, as humans, intrinsic value, inherent dignity. We have an objective worth, not just chemical reactions or biological machines that are walking around with cosmic dust. Islam gives morality a foundation, a moral lawgiver. There is human dignity, there is accountability, and ultimately we have justice. There are many different types of arguments that non-Muslims and Muslims can use to prove the existence of God. For example, humans cannot invent concepts out of absolute nothing. Every idea we have is built from either real things or a combination of real things. For example, dragons are reptiles with wings. Unicorns are horses with horns or wings. Mermaids are women plus fish. But the concept of God is not a combination of any physical thing. It refers to timelessness, spaceless, immateriality. Nothing that you can think of will equal to God. And none of these come from sensory experience. So where did humans get these metaphysical concepts? If humans cannot invent concepts with no grounding in reality, then the concept of God must be grounded in something that's real. And Islam explains this as the knowledge of God being innate, being the fitrah, the innate disposition. The Quran says that, "Am I not your Lord?" And that this is the natural disposition that Allah created in mankind. This very existence of the concept God is evidence that God exists. Otherwise, humans would have never been able to conceive of God in the first place.
we can refer to the Quranic verses, we can refer to Islamic philosophy, and this is not an issue for Muslims. But when Muslims are trying to prove the existence of God to atheists, it is very important for us to be particular with our language. And Muslims shouldn't feel like we need to believe in a God. Muslims should be able to establish the existence of God, because the word belief can contain some baggage, unnecessary baggage, and rather we should use language such as establishing the existence, knowing that God exists. So how do we prove God's existence to an atheist? First and foremost, it is very important for us to know what our yardstick is. What is our criteria that we are using in order to determine whether God exists or not? So my question to atheists is, by what criteria would satisfy you in order to prove that God exists? What kind of evidence would satisfy the criteria that God exists? And that is first and foremost very crucial before we even enter the discussion on whether God exists or not. We must first come up with an agreed criteria and certain points and principles before we engage in the discussion. Because if an atheist does not know what type of evidence would satisfy him or her to believe in God, then providing evidence of design, providing evidence of cosmological arguments, irreducible complexity, design arguments fall apart if the atheist and Muslim or theist don't agree on principles that will convince them that God exists. So this is very important. For example, if an atheist says that I will believe in God if I see him personally, physically, well, then this will not work, because God is not something that you can test in a laboratory. The existence of God is a philosophical question. so we must make inferences based on argumentation, such as the Kalam cosmological argument. Discussion won't go anywhere if we cannot agree on certain criteria. As we've continued on this trail, we've finally reached our destination, and life is much the same. Every worldview is a path. Every religion is a path. Every philosophy is a path. Where does your path lead? And most importantly, is your path true? Assalamu alaikum.